Okay, in this shot right here, you can see I have the smaller sprocket on the driver's side, and I've left the passenger side completely stock. But you'll notice this whole system here has to slide up, so I had to loosen up these lock nuts and bring this up, which brings this past where the slot is. So I had to put a different bolt in through there to lock that up, but it does just fit just right, and it gives you enough so you can see that it'll snug up the chain enough so that it'll work without having to do any major welding or changing of the bottom bracket setup. And now I'm going to take and adjust these chain guards. I have to cut those, and I'll show you that in a minute. Now to take the existing one, the old one, off, I'm sure you know that's a 14 millimeter bolt that's in there on the bottom bracket. You have to take that out. And I'm going to take the pedal off so that when I put my bottom bracket crank puller on there, I can swing it right around, not hit the pedal. And I'm sure you probably know this is your crank remover. I usually set a little bolt in there after I take out the regular one, and then screw the crank puller in. Make sure that you screw that crank puller quite a ways in so you've got a good bite on those threads. Then you can start turning this part in, and as you know, it'll slowly, gradually, when you put the pressure on it, pull that crank right off. And then voila, it pops right off. Now your new pedal, make sure that you talk to Dan in parts at Berg. He's really helpful. And the new lower, smaller toothed, less toothed sprocket, it has the same shaft length or pedal arm length, and the pedal's right on it, so you don't have to put another one on it. And then you just line that sucker up, and then you put your chain on. Okay, now what I've got to do is, now I've got this new one locked on there, I've got to adjust this to pull the whole thing forward to take up the slack. I've got to loosen this and this, and then I'm going to have to replace this with a different bolt because it moves so far forward, because we've got to take up all that slack. But we don't have to weld anything, we don't have to change anything, it's just the chain guard, which we'll see later. Okay, now you can see that I've put the chain guard, and where I have to set it up, it's going to hit this big bolt here. And even though I could turn it around and have it rounded on this side, I don't want to, because I don't want to have that bolt sticking out any farther over here so that it would actually, somebody could hit it with their foot. So I just am going to trim this, and I'll show you how I trim this guard, this chain guard, to set down. And then because I've got this piece sticking out a little bit more, I'll have to trim the bottom of the other part of the upper chain guard. Then I'll show you that in a minute. Now I just want to emphasize on this bolt, because this whole system has to move forward quite a bit. I had to take the original bolt out and put a smaller one in because it just fits over through here. This winter I'll take and machine that out of there, screw it out so that we can put the original oversized bolt in there. If you can see it here, what I've done is I have cut up just about in the middle of the ridge of the chain guard in the front on the inside with these big snippers, and I've also cut here, and then I'm going to cut it across here. Sorry, I'm going to cut it across here with them, so I'll have that piece cut out, and then I'll measure the other part and show you how I cut that. As you'll notice, I've cut these two tabs. I've cut that in half so I can just bend those up, and then I'll snip them off, and I'll be all set with my thing, with the space. And you'll notice that I cut, here's that tab right there, you can see I cut just forward of that tab on the chain guard. You'll also notice now on the, this is the insert between the top and the bottom of the chain guard. On this side here, for it to slide up in, you have to cut that piece out, and you can see how I've cut that out just with the snips, and that looks to be about probably an inch, inch and a half. That will allow that to slide up past that new bolt you had to put in. And here again, you can see where I've cut this out. This is all set. But this one back here, see there's a tab right there? You cut just after that, about an inch long here and an inch or so up, and cut that tab right out of there. And then it'll slip by that bolt that you have to put in there. Eventually, when I replace it with the original one, the original bolt back there, I wouldn't have had done that. But right now I don't have it, and I've got a big weekend coming up, so I'm engineering this to work for what I need for my last big weekend of the summer.